Hey everybody, Melon here. Welcome back to another video. Alright, so today this is going to be a very fun video, I guess you could say. Today we're going to be talking about how to fix the Pulsar sticky click issue on the X2A, the X2V2, and the X2H. Now in this video I'll be showing you how to do this on the X2H and the X2V2. I do not have an X2A, however the disassembly process for the X2A medium and mini is the exact same thing. Now before we get into this, I did want to clarify this with a couple things. First off, Pulsar was kind enough to send over both the X2V2 and the X2H for previous reviews on the channel, but this video is obviously not sponsored or endorsed by them in any way, shape, or form. If they knew I was going to tear these apart like this, they probably wouldn't have sent them to me. And secondly, doing this repair will void your 2-year warranty with Pulsar. Do not take this unit apart unless you are number one, experienced and comfortable with taking apart small electronics, have the knowledge how to do this, and are outside of the warranty with Pulsar, or Pulsar has denied a warranty claim already. Opening this unit and doing this within the 2-year warranty period will void your warranty. So if you open this unit up and break something on the inside, Pulsar will not replace your mouse. You are AWOL. So do not open your mouse unless this is your absolute last resort. I would recommend going through Pulsar and talking to their support and trying to RMA your mouse before you attempt to do this. This video is primarily meant for people who are outside the 2-year warranty with Pulsar. Now, while this does look extremely simple, just keep in mind I take apart mice for a living, so I'm very familiar working with very fine electronics like this. If you don't know what you're doing, it's very easy to break something, and there's a higher chance you're going to break your mouse than actually fix the problem. So do not take your mouse apart unless you absolutely have to. I would highly recommend against doing it. I just want to make sure I can show you guys how to fix the issue if you're outside of Pulsar's 2-year warranty, or you're just outside of all warranty support at all. Now, just a small note here, I will not be covering the X-Lite V3, the X-Lite ES edition, or the Pulsar X2H ES edition, because I do not have those and I have not done teardowns of those. I also don't know if those mice actually have the same sticky click issue as the X2A, the X2V2, and the X2H have. So I will make an updated video in the future once I get my hands on those mice to see if they do have the same problem. But for now, we're just going to talk about the X2V2, the X2H, and the X2A. Alright, so let's get started. First off, we're going to talk about how to take apart the X2V2 and the X2H. Then we're going to talk about what the problem is and diagnosing the issue. Then I'll show you guys how to fix the problem. Then I'll show you how to reassemble your mouse, and then we'll have a couple closing thoughts, and we'll start there. But let's go ahead and show you guys how to take apart both of these mice. So what you're going to do is first you're going to flip over your unit. Now I have third-party skates on both of these mice. However, you will need to remove these stock skates that are on here. Just be very careful when removing these because they can bend pretty easily. I would have an aftermarket pair set or just some other skate to replace it just on hand, so you can replace them very easily. Now what we're going to do to start off is we're just going to remove the 2 skates at the bottom of these mice here and here. Alrighty, now that's done, let's go ahead and do the X2H first. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to put a little pressure onto this side and this side of the mouse, and with enough pressure you should feel a little bit of a crack towards the back. You can kind of put your fingernail in like that, and then you want to go ahead and just run your finger along the side of the mouse to release the clamps, and that should disassemble it. Now don't pull it apart just yet. There is a ribbon cable on the inside, as you can see here. So before you take the shell apart, it's a good idea to flip this over, kind of hold it open like this, and then what you want to do is just get your fingernail and you want to just open up this little thing here. You can just pull it towards the top like that, and then you can pull the ribbon cable out gently. And there you go. So you can put this aside for later, and we're going to keep the top shell because this is what we're going to have to work on today. So that is the top of the X2H. Now let's do the X2V2. So same process, put a little pressure here and here on the back of the shell. It'll cause the back of the shell to open up like this, kind of like a clam. And you just run your finger along the side here, releasing all the clamps. And then it should come off from the front. Again, be very careful when taking it apart because there is another ribbon cable here. So flip it over, kind of hold it open like this, like a sandwich. And then just gently pull this little black piece up, and you can gently remove the ribbon cable just like that. Now, next up, we have the 2 bases here. So the mini versions are going to have 4 screws, whereas the medium versions are going to have 3 of them. So let's go ahead and do the X2H first. Now, next up, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and remove this side click PCB. Now, you can do this pretty easily by just kind of grabbing the middle here and pulling up. And sometimes you do have to put a fingernail under here to release the pressure on this top one here. However, this will not come out naturally because this side of the PCB gets stuck on this little hook here. So what you actually have to do is you kind of have to hold the mouse like this. And you have to pull this side of the mouse open a little bit while you pull it out. So what I like to do is put it on the desk, kind of put 2 fingers here to pull this out, and then I pull on the side just like this. and the whole piece comes out just like that. So that is your daughter board for the side clicks. Now there is another piece in here, this little piece right in here, which is for the side LED. Can be a little finicky sometimes to get out. There we go, just like that. Now, if a tiny little piece comes out of this, don't worry about it, just put it back on the inside. It just goes right in the middle here and is just the threader for the lighting on the side of the mouse. All right, now that's done, let's go ahead and do the X2V2. So the X2V2 is the exact same process. There's just an extra screw to remove, so we'll go ahead and remove those first. Alrighty, now that's done, this is going to be the exact same process as it was on the X2H. So just put it on your desk, put 2 fingers here to pull this up. Again, you will probably have to release the pressure on the top one and sometimes the bottom one here just to make sure it's loose. Once it's loose, pull away from the side of the shell and just pull straight up. And the entire piece comes out in one piece. Now again, same thing, you probably have to knock loose this little LED threader here, which you can do with a screwdriver. Again, if the middle piece comes out, don't worry about it too much. So now we have the top shells of the X2H and the X2V2 both fully disassembled. So now next up, what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to go ahead and remove the main clicks here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the X2H first. All you have to do to remove the main clicks is remove these little screws here and here. Just like that. And then next up, what you want to do is basically you just want to take a finger and go behind these clicks and just gently pull up on them, and the click will just fall right out of the mouse itself. Just be very, very gentle when you do this. You just want to pull them up off of these little stabilizers. You don't want to force them off. You just want to gently pull them up. So just gently pull them up and they'll fall right out of the shell just like that. And just like that, nice and easy. So that is the top shell for the X2H. Let's go ahead and do the X2V2 next. So the exact same process, you're just going to remove the screw in the middle here and here. And just like we just did on the X2H, what you want to do is just get a finger behind here and just gently pull up and the clicks will just fall right out of the shell. Just like we did here. Now, if the clicks don't fall out naturally, it's most likely because the stabilizer is hooked onto the bottom here. If it doesn't come off, just pull it straight out and it should come out of the shell nice and easily. All right, now that we have both the X2V2 and the X2H taken apart, let's diagnose what the actual problem is with this mouse. Now, I've already done the repair on the X2H, so I'm going to show you on the X2V2 here. Now, what Pulsar has done is that there are these very, very, very tiny rubber pads right here and here. And the problem is that sometimes, due to poor QC, see how this rubber pad is kind of sticking out a little more while this one's flat? Sometimes what happens here is that this will cause some inconsistencies with the clicks because there's this weird kind of pressure you have to do to actually make actuation with the click. Now, interestingly enough, on the base of the main clicks, you can actually see these tiny little ridges here on the X2V2. And on the X2H, they're a little more pronounced. You can see them right here and here. Now, what happens is that these little pieces right here make contact with this rubber on these mice. And what happens is that they can actually become quite sticky over time. So if you're holding down the mouse click like you're holding an angle in Valor or with an operator, and you hold down your right click here, and then you go to unscope and it's stuck to this rubber, that can cause inconsistency issues as well. So this little piece of rubber here is what causes the issues with the clicks actuating downwards. So the best thing to do to fix this issue is to remove these little tabs. I will say on the medium versions, there is a lot more. There's actually a bunch here and there's also some here. It'd be best to just remove it, all of it entirely, just because it doesn't really serve a purpose. And if your mouse is poorly QC'd, just like my X2V2 is, you will have issues where this pad is off center, which can cause issues with the main clicks. So the best thing to do is just to remove this plastic entirely. So let's go ahead and do that first. This doesn't leave too much adhesive on the bottom, which is good to see. You can wipe this off with an alcohol wipe or an adhesive removal wipe if you want to, but since this is deepened, you're not going to have any issues with the clicks making contact with it anymore, so it shouldn't be that big of a problem. So that is what causes the click issues when you force the click downwards. Let's talk next about the issues with the clicks going upwards. On the bottom of this mouse, you'll notice that there is these tiny little stabilizers right here and here. So the problem is that these little kind of archways that are the stabilizers for the main clicks, what happens is that when these are in the mice, like this, what happens is that these little stabilizers go right over these little contact pads right here and here. Now, if you look very closely, you can see these are actually made out of a foam. Now, on paper, that's not that big of a problem. However, the issue that I had on my X2H specifically is that over time and over use, this foam gets pushed down, so much so that it becomes a flat surface where the adhesive actually starts to leak through this. So what happens is when the click is not actuating, when it's in a resting position, the actual archway will make contact directly against this foam and it will stick to it, which causes a sticky click issue. Now, I haven't had the issue as much on the mini version. On the medium version, it was way worse because the contact pads are a little larger and it makes a significant amount of contact here and here. On the mini versions, it's not as bad, but I know some of the mini versions do have this issue. So while the clicks are just stationary and not being used, they have a tendency to require a little more actuation to actually click down because they stick to these tiny, tiny, tiny little foam pads here and here. Now, this, of course, is obviously a big issue because if you're playing a game and you see someone turning an angle and you want to shoot them and you have to put extra force onto the click to actually make it actuate, causes problems. There's also a myriad of other issues that can cause with it. Now, like I said when I did my review of the X2H, this is something that Pulsar wouldn't necessarily have caught during QC, but they definitely should have caught this during R&D because both of my units have these issues within 2 months of usage. So again, bit of a miss there from Pulsar, but on the plus side, it is very easy to actually fix this issue. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove this tiny little piece of foam on each of these headers right here and here for the stabilizers. And just like that, you can take them off very, very, very easily. Now, all you have to do is you can go ahead and test to make sure this actually worked. You can go ahead and put the click back into the shell. Now, you do this by kind of putting it in like this and then just sliding it down. Now, make sure to make contact with the stabilizer towards the top of the mouse before you do that. Should click into place just like that. And you'll notice that now there's not any stickiness when this is on here. It's not being held to this foam pad anymore, so your clicks aren't going to have any more stickiness. With that out of the way, let's show you guys how to reassemble these mice. So you're going to go ahead and put your main clicks back in. So again, just slide them in through the top here, put them towards the front. You want to slide them into the mouse and make sure that the stabilizer goes over this part here. You'll hear a click when it goes into place, and you just want to put a finger and push them onto their stabilizers here. And then you can go ahead and grab your screws, and the screws go into the central hole right here. Now, quick note here, this is very, very important. Do not over tighten these screws. You can break the main clicks by the tensioning very easily by over tightening this. The moment you feel any resistance from the screws, stop screwing these in. All right, so that is the main clicks on the X2V2. Let's do the X2H next. So same process, you're gonna grab your click, you're gonna go ahead and put it into the top of the shell like this, and then you're gonna make sure it's flat, make sure the stabilizer lines up towards the front of the mouse. Just like that, click it into place, push down, just like that. Same thing for this one. Just like that. All right, so there you have it. So that is how you install the main clicks. Now, just to double check that they went back in properly, go ahead and just actuate your main clicks, make sure they still have a little bit of retention to them. The clicks should naturally just kind of rubber band back to their natural position. Just like that. Make sure all of your main clicks do that. Obviously, the rubber banding is going to be as strong because it's not in the mouse itself, but it should be fairly straightforward like that. All right, so next up, let's do the side click PCB. Now, this can be a little tricky. So what you want to do is you want to take your side click PCB. You want to take this tiny little LED feeder we took out earlier. What that's going to do is that's actually going to sit on the board on this little piece right here, just like this, and it should just naturally hold itself onto the board like that. Then next up, what you want to do is you want to basically just kind of feed this back into the side of the mouse, but you will have to hold the mouse, this side of the mouse open in order to do so. So it can be a little finicky. What I find best is to put it in at an angle and just kind of line it up. It's best to line it up via the screw holes, kind of like what I did there. And then once it's into place, you want to hold it like this, pull the side off, and then you want to push these back onto their standoffs. Just like that. And then it's a good idea just to take your finger and push these down just to make sure they all make contact. And then once that's done, you can go ahead and put back in the 4 screws to hold this board in. So that is how you do that. Now, once that's in, just double check your side clicks. Make sure they're still actuating and make sure this LED header actually made it into the hole. Sometimes it doesn't go in all the way. Let's go ahead and do the X2H next. So we're just going to go ahead and do the exact same process we just did in the X2V2. We're going to take this little LED light threader, put it onto the board just like this here, just like that. And then we're going to go ahead and put this into the shell. So grab it from the middle, kind of gently guide it into the side of the mouse. And then you just want to gently pull from the side here, get it into place. And with a little fidgeting, you should be able to get it into place just like that. Now, sometimes these can be a pain in the ass and they won't go into the proper hole. Just fidget the board around the best you can to get it in. And then you can go ahead and put back in the anchoring screws. Now that's done, we can go ahead and reinstall the top shell to the base. Now this can be pretty difficult because of this ribbon cable. This is very, very, very difficult to do. So I'm going to do it on the X2H first, and then we'll do it on the X2V2. So what you have to do is you're going to have to get this little ribbon cable back into the bottom of this little connector right here. The problem is though, is that you have this little piece of plastic that with any pressure sits back in. So you have to figure out a way to wiggle this cable into here safely without bending the cable, while also making sure that this doesn't actually close, for preventing you from forcing it in. So it can be very annoying. Now I should have mentioned this earlier just to quickly preface this. It's very important not to push on the top of the cable. You only want to push from the sides of the cable. Don't push from the top because it's very easy to actually snap these. The easiest way I found to do this was to kind of place it in like this, hold the mouse like this, and then very, very, very gently try and feed the cable into the bottom. Now, some units may be so light on this actuation force that it may just naturally close due to just gravity. So sometimes you have to hold it upside down to do this. But if you're lucky, you can get it in pretty easily. Now, right here is another situation where it's going to fight me a little bit, but that's okay. Like that. So what you want to do is you want to get it in where you just see a little bit of the blue over the top of this cable. Make sure that the cable is balanced when you put it in. So make sure that it's even towards the top. And then once you're happy it's in, you want to go ahead and take your fingers and just push on the side here to push this down. And it should go together like this. Now at this point, what I'd recommend is before you put the mouse together, I'd flick the mouse on, make sure it still works, and I'd make sure and test that these side buttons still work before you put it together, because this cable is very, very finicky. And if this doesn't work, if this isn't seated properly, your side buttons will not work. So just make sure you seat that properly. All right, let's go ahead and do the same thing to the X2V2. Now, obviously the smaller mice are going to be a little more difficult because they're tinier and there's a lot less space to move around with, but it's the exact same process. You just want to hold this connector open and gently, gently, gently feed in your connector for this. Now this one in particular is very finicky because it does not like to stay open, which makes this very fun, but with some luck, you should be able to get it in. And there you go, just like that. Now, next up, again, just like we did with the X2H, go ahead, turn the mouse on, make sure your side buttons still work properly on your computer, make sure everything else works while you're at it as well. And then once that's done, you're good to go. Now, next up, let's go ahead and reconnect these mice. So what you want to do for this is you want to take the top of the mouse. Now see these two little connectors at the top here. You want to line these up with the top. You can kind of use the USB-C port as a guide for this. And you want to guide the mouse in like this. And what you want to do is you want to push in from the bottom and push like this. And at some point, it's going to become pretty much seamless. Once it's seamless, you're good to go. And then once that's done, the rest of the mouse will be like this. What you can do is you can just take it in your hand, press it in, and everything will sandwich together. Now, it's a good idea to run your finger along the sides of the mouse just to make sure everything made contact. We'll do the same thing on the X2H here. Perfect. Okay, that's that. And then next up, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and flip the mouse over, and then you want to go ahead and put in the base screws again. Alrighty, and there you have it. That is how you take apart both the X2V2 and the X2H. Now, removing the foam on the stabilizers on the inside of both of these mice, as well as removing the foam pads, is going to change how these clicks feel. Now, the cushioning you felt on the main clicks when you actuate them downwards from the rubber pads is going to be gone, so they're going to feel a lot sharper. They're also going to be a lot louder. And then on the bottom, when you take the stabilizers off, they're going to feel a little different when it comes to the rebound, because there's not going to be any foam on the inside to catch the clicks as they go back up when they unactuate. So they're going to be a little louder there as well. Now, ironically enough, after these are fixed, they actually feel pretty much identical to the main clicks on the Death Adder V3 because they're using a very similar switch, but the Death Adder V3 doesn't have any cushioning or anything on the main click, so it feels exactly the same on both of these two Pulsar units. But that is how you fix that issue entirely. Again, it does change how the clicks feel, but you don't have to deal with a sticky click issue anymore, which is, in my opinion, worth it. Alrighty, and that is pretty much everything you need to do to fix the sticky click issue on the X2V2, the X2H, and the X2A. I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you very much for sticking around. I know it's a bit of a complicated video. I don't normally do repair videos like this. I normally do teardowns and that kind of stuff, but since this is a relatively simple quote-unquote fix, I figured I might as well make a video on this. So I hope this video was helpful to anyone who's stuck with a Pulsar mouse with a sticky click. Hopefully this resolves your issue and you can use your mouse again. If you guys have any questions about this repair that I didn't cover in this video, feel free to leave a comment down below. And as always, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.